All right, let's get into it. It was another wild one on X yesterday, so we're going to break down everything that happened on September 3rd.
So here's what went down yesterday. And wow, it was a day of total contrasts, You had this massive, serious political scandal blowing up in one corner, and in the other, just a ton of high-energy sports talk and some really weird viral videos. It's a perfect example of what X is, right? The world's town square in all its glory.
Okay, so to get a handle on all this, here's the plan. We'll kick things off with the Epstein Files release, which was huge. Then we'll jump into sports and viral stuff. After that, a look at the platform's inner workings, then what Elon was up to with free speech. And finally, we'll wrap it all up. All right, first up, the story that just completely took over the entire platform. I'm talking about the release of the Epstein documents. Man, this sent absolute shockwaves across X, and it instantly became the place where everyone was talking about it. So what happened was, over 33,000 documents were released to the public, and the second they dropped, X just exploded. I mean, this was not a slow news day. It was an instant firestorm, the kind of thing that takes over the whole platform in minutes. And the scale of this was just mind-blowing. We're talking millions upon millions of posts hitting the feed within just a few hours. The hashtag, of course, trended worldwide. It was easily the single biggest thing anyone was talking about all day long. And what's fascinating is you could see the entire X ecosystem just spring into action, You had the media outlets doing these deep legal dives, you had influencers pointing out and analyzing all the big names, and then you had everyday users just driving this huge conversation about accountability. And, importantly, Community Notes was working overtime, trying to correct misinformation as it popped up because, speculation was running absolutely rampant. Okay, so while all of that really heavy stuff was going on, let's call it the other side of X was still buzzing right along, the cultural side. This is where you got the big sports arguments and some truly unforgettable viral clips.
Over in the basketball world, it was all about Kawhi Leonard. He was trending big time, over 100,000 posts. People were either breaking down his performance or getting deep into the latest trade rumors.
At the same time, the NFL season is really starting to heat up, so naturally, NFL RedZone was just popping off. It was just this nonstop feed of live updates, people's reactions, and so many memes. Everyone was following along live. And hey, it wasn't just the big team sports. Tennis fans were getting in on it too. Taylor Fritz was trending, with people sharing these awesome match highlights and making their predictions for what's next for him. But maybe the weirdest, most surreal moment of the day came from this one viral video. Get this, a food reviewer is right in the middle of talking to the camera, and out of absolutely nowhere, a car just plows into the restaurant right behind him. The timing was just, you can't make it up. It went viral instantly, spawned a million memes, an instant classic. All right, let's switch gears. We've talked about what happened on X, but now let's talk about what people were saying about X. The platform itself. And there was definitely some chatter about changes, privacy, and how it was running.
So a pretty big question making the rounds yesterday was about the Creator Revenue Program. A rumor started bubbling up, supposedly from some insider circles, that X might be tweaking the payout algorithm. Now that got a lot of creators talking, right? Everyone's wondering how it could affect their bottom line.
And it wasn't just rumors. People were giving some very direct feedback. For instance, some folks were raising concerns about the privacy policy, especially with data being used for AI training. On a smaller scale, people were reporting annoying little bugs, like flickering lists on the iOS app. But it wasn't all bad news. Some developers pointed out that the server limits for big communities have improved, which is definitely a welcome change. And it wouldn't be a day on X without hearing from Elon Musk, right? Well, yesterday he was really focused on free speech, and he was taking specific aim at some of the policies and things happening over in the UK. He was pretty vocal, criticizing UK authorities for, in his view, caring more about policing what people say online than about preventing actual crime. He basically framed it as a classic case of government overreach. And clearly, a lot of people were listening. He actually jumped into a space that some tech influencers were hosting to talk about all this, and at its peak, there were over 20,000 people listening in live. So what started as his own posts turned into a pretty big live event on the platform. So let's just zoom out and look at the whole day. What you really see is a platform that's just full of these wild contrasts. It's the same place where people are dealing with this really serious, complicated scandal, and at the exact same time, they're laughing at a video of a car crash. It's something else. And that really leaves you with a question, doesn't it? When you have one single platform that's home to breaking scandals and viral memes, all in the same feed, what does that really say about this digital space we all share? It definitely makes you think about the weird, complex role that X plays in our lives.
And that's the story of yesterday on X. This Ailey X report is by MakeXGreat.com. Make sure you subscribe and come back tomorrow for the latest report.
The Daily X Report.